The years of sacrificed sleep, the long days, the missed dinners, the anxiety on those slow months, the sacrificing of social norms and friends, all of it produced a 7 or even 8-figure revenue business. You have a team that shows up and they work for you. You have a house that shows and reflects everything that you've ever built. When you walk into masterminds or peer groups or even your family gatherings, honestly, the very ground you walk on is almost worshiped because you're so different from everyone else. You have achieved the American dream. You're the role model. You're the one that everyone points to and says, you have to follow that person. And yet, there's something deep within you that wants more. It's not just because you want more money because you're greedy. It's not because you haven't built something that actually matters. It's because of who you are and the impact that you want to leave, the people that you want to serve, the legacy that you want to carry forward. It's something inside of you that is itching for something even bigger. But the problem is you can't say it out loud because the response would be completely unrelatable to even the business owners around you. How could you, who has all of this, who's accomplished all these extraordinary things, still want more? So you hold it inside. It's a secret locked in your heart as a hope that nobody else gets to see. And meanwhile, the business that got you here has started to slow. Growth is still happening. You're still being successful, but not at the speed that you once were. The effort that used to produce massive leaps in production is now only producing smaller ones. You're not burnt out exactly, but there is this realization forming quietly in your mind that the trajectory you're on isn't going to get you to what you're yearning for in your heart. I want to tell you something that took me years to understand. When I left academia, I made an assumption. I believe that the business owners I would be working with, the ones that are doing $300,000 in personal income, $800,000 in personal income, over $1 million in personal income, that they were building wealth, true, realized generational wealth. It's the kind of wealth that I assumed would change family trajectories for 150 years to come. That assumption did not last long once I started working one-on-one with business owners. What I found instead was this. Business owners are exceptional at the making of money. They truly are exceptional, and you should be absolutely proud of every dollar you've ever generated through your business. The revenue, the lifestyle, all of it is 100% earned, but actual wealth, the actual transferable generational wealth was not there for almost every business owner that I've ever worked with. And when I say this, sometimes people are like, I'm not struggling. I'm not saying you're struggling. A business owner who's doing a few $1,000,000 a year for 30 years should honestly reasonably expect to have an 8-figure net worth after all of that work. But most don't. And the more I looked, the more unsettling I got. 80% of business owners won't successfully sell and or exit their business. 80 to 90% of most business owners' net worth is trapped in that unsellable business. I want you to listen to that again. 80% of businesses will not exit with anything, no transfer of money. 80 to 90% of most business owners' net worth is trapped in that thing that won't sell. And then, to perpetuate this even further, you learn that half of business owners are forced to exit, meaning a death happened, a disability happened, a divorce happened, a disruption happened, a disagreement happened, too much debt happened. They're forced out. They can't do anything further. They are absolutely 100% removed from their business. And this isn't because entrepreneurs are bad with money that this is the result. These are very smart, intelligent, hardworking, driven, gritty people that aren't creating wealth. And it dawned on me that something is systematically broken in how we're teaching entrepreneurs and business owners to build wealth. And here's what I eventually understood. Most business owners are being served by an advisory system that was never designed for them. It was designed for the middle-class W-2 employee. The accountant, the investment manager, the insurance advisor, the estate attorney, the business, they each individually are doing their job, but they never communicate with each other. They all work in their own individual silos, and they all take you to where they take all their clients, which is just the middle-class W-2 outcome. And the business itself, no one is helping business owners actually make a transferable business asset, Sure, the business produces lots of income, but it goes to that siloed team who are all working on their own, creating middle-class outcomes. The gap between what the business owner has built and what they actually need it to become to continue to replicate their income, not even talking about generational wealth, the gap between what they have built and what their assets need to replicate their income is massive. And if you're actually thinking or desiring legacy and generational wealth, that gap is even wider. So I started asking different questions. What are the business owners who actually beat those odds? The ones that actually sell, the 20% who actually sell their business. What are they doing differently? What are the ones who actually reach the 8 to 9 figure outcomes doing? Are they just lucky? Did they just happen to catch the perfect wave at exactly the perfect time? Because nearly every business owner that I associated with worked extremely hard. Work ethic wasn't the problem. They sacrificed. They built something that on the surface would make sense that it's sellable. Like, I should be able to get something for this. But the reality of it wasn't. Something was missing. And it wasn't the work ethic. These business owners were propelling themselves forward by pure will and effort. Their decisions weren't based on like data or best practice. They didn't have Harvard MBAs. They weren't like getting private equity advice or how do I view this through the mind of an investor. It was sheer grit that created their 7-figure revenue business or even their 8-figure revenue business. But the grit alone doesn't produce a generational outcome. It produces a great income. And then the real question hit me. What if you could pair a world-class work ethic with institutional level business strategy? Instead of decisions being made from this random speaker, you heard this random mastermind or in your peer group, or from this random friend, what if decisions around what we did around strategy in our business was based off of what the business was actually capable of in that moment? The same data, the same decisions that an Inc. 500 company or a well-run private equity firm or an institutional investor would expect their asset portfolio companies to be running under. Because when an institutional buyer goes out to acquire a business, they don't just look at the P&L and tax returns, then make these decisions around what we need to be doing. They go in full out. They don't want any hiding spots. They want to know what the business is actually capable of, not just on the numbers side, but what we call the intangible capital side, the non-numerical things. What does the market actually say is capable for this business? Because they aren't buying this just to keep the business the same. They're buying the business. They're doing the investing because of what the business can become. And far too many business owners aren't viewing their own business asset, their own business, as something that can become something. It just is this grit grind to get income out of it, to live the life that they want. And again, nothing wrong with that, but it has a ceiling. It has a potential of, I want generational wealth, but the business can only realistically produce middle class. That level of institutional thinking has always existed. Private equity funds have been using it for hundreds of years. Institutional massive companies have always thought around asset value, not income value. But really, for most 7 and low 8-figure revenue business owners, it really hasn't ever existed before until now. For the last 2 years, we've been taking everything that's come from billion-dollar exits, from boardrooms, from acquisitions to roll-ups, and we've been thinking, how can we give that level of sophistication to this gritty, hardworking business owner who's doing 1 to 25 million in revenue? The ones who usually never have access to this level of thinking, this level of strategy. But if we could pair those together, what's going to happen? We call this the Wealth Blueprint Diagnostic. It is the first institutional grade 360 view of a business built that's specifically been built for the low to mid market business owner. And here's what that actually means to you. We look at your exit foundation first. What are the 3 gaps? The 3 gaps are your profit gap, your valuation gap, your wealth gap. And how large is each one? Most business owners have never had anyone calculate this unless they've ever worked, they're going to exit. But you should be doing this if you're 20 years out, 30 years out, 5 years out. You should know your gaps, not just guesses, actual data. Then we're looking at what we call the goal architecture. Not just what you want, but whether your business is currently designed and capable of producing it. So it's not just saying I want a $50 million exit and then just hoping that happens and then being disappointed when it doesn't. It's I want the $50 million exit, and is my business actually capable of getting me there? And if it's not, what things do I have to change to make sure that I actually do make that happen? Then we look at the strategic position through the same frameworks that institutional investors and our business partner, Rob, who's done $4.5 billion of exit, used to evaluate businesses as they were acquiring and building their massive exit. So things like the Porter's 5 Forces, the Ansoff Matrix. These test the market. Can we predictably rely on what is happening and winning for your business right now? Is that still predictable 3 years from now, 5 years from now, a year from now, 10 years from now? And how do we start making changes based off that data? Then we look at your organizational alignment, whether your team, your structure, your systems are designed to deliver your goals, or are they actually pushing back against you? Are they making it harder because of what you have structure-wise within everything? Then we're going to look at the intangible capitals, human capital, structural capital, social capital, and customer capital, because those capitals can make up to over 70% of your business's value. And most business owners don't even know they exist. They don't even know what they look like, how they are, how do I make it more valuable, not more valuable. They have no idea. And we bring it to the forefront to give them a grade and an action plan on how to fix it. Then we look at the financial architecture, the P&L, the unit economics, the balance sheet. What does the data on the finances actually say? And then we do something that no other diagnostic tool for low to mid-market business owners actually does. We look forward at the structural forces acting on your sector, the tailwinds that could multiply the exit value if you were positioned correctly, or the headwinds that would erode it if you don't. This is the same investor-grade foresight that institutional buyers use to determine not just what the business is worth, but what will it be worth 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 10 years from now. McKinsey will charge you $30,000 to $50,000 for this level of analysis, and we built it specifically for the 7- and 8-figure revenue business owner who never would pay $30,000 to $50,000 for that level of depth. I started my entrepreneurial journey because I was awakened to the possibility of generational impact. And I wish every one of the 1,000+ business owners we've had the opportunity and privilege to work with would have had access to this diagnostic sooner, because what we built will transform a business from just a source of income into an asset that makes generational wealth even more probable. That feeling you have, the one that stays secret, the one that nobody around you can even receive or understand, that itch that didn't go away even when success arrived, that feeling is not greed. It is not ingratitude. It is data. It is your instincts. It is your gut telling you that the business that got you here was never designed to satisfy the itch that you sought for. We built something exactly for that. If you're interested in getting a look at what this diagnostic could do for your business and how it could transform you from an income source into an asset source, if you have the aspiration to go to 50 million, to 20 million, to 500 million, to $1 billion, this diagnostic, this view of your business is the starting step to that. If you want information, comment below, reach out to me, and we'll give you access to this diagnostic. This is a one-of-a-kind thing that has never happened for the low to mid-market business owner. I'm Justin D. Maxwell, and I hope that you reach your wealth aspirations, but don't let your business hold you back. Transform your business into the best asset in your portfolio by deliberately viewing it just like an institutional buyer, institutional investor would. Thanks for watching.